All new at 5, they're taking you back aboard, showing you the crew's new challenge and why they won't be on the Great Lakes next winter.
That's right. The extreme winter and thick ice cover on Lake Erie kept the Coast Guard busy all season long. Icebreakers helping nearly 700 vessels on the lake, sometimes battling ice up to 10 feet thick.
Meteorologist Ross Ellett and photojournalist Todd Gertner took you on the icebreaker Bristol Bay last February.
The U.S. Coast Guard's Bristol Bay icebreaker is back in Lake Erie, but this time it has a new mission. It's to help out boaters by putting these buoys back in the water.
It's like having navigation in your car. You don't drive the car by looking at the navigation screen. You look outside the window.
It is the same for boaters and freighters. Buoys are like the road signs on the open water.
So this marks the good water that the big ships can use to come down through.
Rock's coming up!
Each spring, the crew of the Bristol Bay transitions from breaking ice in Lake Erie to placing buoys in the water.
Shackled! Shackled! Coming up!
But this year's ice cover, ice jams, and flood concerns have made for a long and challenging season.
The ice season went a little longer this year than it has in the past, so we're a little pinched because of that.
The crew is working overtime, basically. We're making up for lost time.
The Bristol Bay was sailing till midnight the night before, but by 7 a.m. the Coast Guard was hard at work, attaching the buoys, lifting the crane, and loading them on deck.
Coming down high. Down. Rock's coming down. Coming down. Almost made it.
A couple hours later, we left the Toledo port and the real work began.
Shackle! Who's shackled? Who's coming up? Who's coming up?
First, the 5 to 10,000 pound sinker was dropped, then the chain, and finally the buoy.
We'll put the sinker as close to the established position as possible, and we try to keep it within a yard, which is pretty tight.
Between the buoy, the chain, and the sinker, all of this weighs about the same as 4 cars put together. Despite the rain, the wind, and the waves, about 140 of these will be precisely placed in Lake Erie. There are big changes coming up for the Coast Guard's icebreaker that serves western Lake Erie.
Well, the Bristol Bay will be heading out for a major retrofit, I guess is the best way to say it. It's our midlife upgrade to make sure that these 140 icebreakers are able to keep doing the mission for another 20 plus years.
The boat repairs will take about 10 months and will keep the Bristol Bay off the Great Lakes next winter. When the ship returns to operation, there will be new faces to greet it.
To see your shipmates move on and to better things, of course. I mean, makes you happy, makes you proud, but at the same time, you kind of miss what you had before.
Captain John Henry has been the commanding officer of the Bristol Bay through the most challenging ice-breaking conditions in 35 years. But soon, he'll be directing his crew for the last time.
You start thinking back about all the good times that you had and truly how great of a job, how great of a life and opportunity it is to be on the Bristol Bay, to be in the Coast Guard, to being in this position to serve the public and perform these missions.
While there are changes on the way for some of the crew and the boat this coming summer, there's plenty of work to be done over the next couple of weeks. The Coast Guard will sail past the Toledo Lighthouse on their way towards Cleveland and also the Lake Erie Islands to place buoys down along the way. Reporting on the Bristol Bay, Ross Ellett, 13 ABC, Action News.
And while the Bristol Bay won't be in the water next winter, the other 8 U.S. Coast Guard icebreakers and 2 Canadian icebreakers will help cover western Lake Erie.
Incredible work that they do and then what they have done.